Hi, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Today, we are going to be joined by Paul Miller, the Chief Goof Officer of Bircus Brewing Company. He is talking to us about their recent expansion into Covington and a very cool opportunity to invest in the company. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CVG, our title sponsor, Crew Consulting, our digital sponsor, and our episode sponsors, Haran and Heartland Bank. Before we get to Member of the Week and that conversation with Paul, I want to talk about the most recent edition of the Northern Kentucky Business Journal. In this latest edition, we are delving into the work being done around one of the Northern Kentucky Chamber's strategic imperatives, growing, attracting, and retaining world-class talent. As businesses continue to face workforce challenges, the March-April issue covers the new workforce and the opportunities it brings for local businesses, as well as how to master employee engagement and retention. The Northern Kentucky Business Journal can be found in your mailbox or at nkychamber.com under News and Chamber Publications. Now, let's meet our members of the week.
CVG Airport is the lowest fare airport in the tri-state region with 54 nonstop flights and direct international service to 7 destinations, including Paris, France, and now home to both DHL's and Amazon's global cargo hubs. The airport is furthering its position as leader in aviation and is deeply committed to being an economic driver for the community. You can learn more and start your next adventure at cvgairport.com.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. Crew gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, Crew generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can Crew do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we will highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. Waterleaf Solutions supports small and large businesses pursuing government contracts. Caitlin Angel is a Northern Kentucky portrait designer, providing custom portraits for families and offices alike. TDA Interiors and TDA Architects provides full-service architecture and interior design services for office interiors, hospitality, and architecture projects. Covington Partners provides support services to Covington Independent Public School students in every stage of their educational journey. Flagship Communities is one of the Midwest region's largest developers of residential manufactured housing communities. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am joined by Paul Miller. He is the Chief Goof Officer at Bircus Brewing. Paul, thank you for joining us today.
It's fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Of course, and Paul is now officially my favorite podcast guest for bringing beer and pizza to the office for us to try while we chat.
That's, I was like, should we do it over Zoom? And I'm like, I had to teach some juggling classes over Zoom, which was interesting. So we did some corporate team building doing that. But I was like, man, let's have pizza and beer. So. Yeah. Why not, right?
Yeah, things are starting to open back up. It sounds like we're maybe getting back to the swing of things. But tell me, before we pour beer, tell me about Bircus and your founding and your guys' history.
Well, we've been selling beer in Ludlow for 10 years. So in 2012, we sold other people's beer. So like we set up the Circus first and then the theater, but people wouldn't come to events unless you had beer. Mm-hmm. And so we sold other people's beer for like 4 years. And then in 2016, we're the first crowd-funded brewery in the United States. So we went through a lot of, tricky paperwork, etc. I worked with Graydon Head, and I met the guys at Graydon actually at the annual dinner. So it was like a neat way to connect dots at the chamber. It's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I am not crazy. I am determined. It's the same words essentially.
Yeah.
But so we raised $500,000 in 2016 and 2017, and we've been making beer now for 5 years. This is like our 5-year. St. Patrick's Day was when we were approved 5 years ago. We got our state license and our city license. So we've been officially pouring and making beer for 5 years.
Okay, very cool. And speaking of pouring and making beer, how would you pick one and we'll try it out?
Sounds great. Miss Patterson, she was Ludlow's Miss America in 1931.
Beautiful.
And my friends in Belgium brew Bircus. And when people say Bircus is a Bircus, first of all, we never correct people because I've been corrected a lot in my lifetime. You know?
Yeah.
So we don't believe in correcting folks. So she won Miss America and she lost to Miss Belgium. She won Miss America, lost Miss Universe. So we can toast to Ludlow and to Miss Patterson.
To brewing.
And it's a Belgian wit with coriander, chamomile.
It's very good.
And it's neat because Bircus Brewing Bircus is, we licensed the idea from a Belgian circus.
Right.
So Bircus exists on the other side of the pond, and I met him in Berlin. Matthias, I was like, man, that's a cool idea. Can I do it in Kentucky? He's like, yeah. So as a part of the licensing agreement, I'll be bringing his circus troupe over from Belgium one of these days. When the time is right, and the time just kind of keeps getting closer to right, you know?
Yeah, and your background in circus is very cool. I'm sure if people know about Bircus, they know about you, they know a little bit about it, but tell our podcast listeners that maybe don't have that background about you.
All right, well, I was a clown with the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So I dropped out of college my senior year. I was studying at CCM for theater, so driving a lot of people crazy. You know, I did ask my girl to marry me before I did that. We'll be married 25 years this year, so
Congratulations.
That's kind of you can probably survive the circus. So I toured with the Ringling Brothers, and actually the circus used to always be in town in March, and when the circus came to Cincinnati, it was the floods of '97. So everything was underwater. You know, we had taken the show. There was Frisbee dogs, 2 clowns, and a guy riding a unicycle, and we performed at area Red Cross shelters all around Cincinnati and Falmouth, and that's where I first kind of like shifted the idea of like there's more to circus than just like the big spectacle and the elephants and the animals. So that was, you know, 25 years ago too. So, you know, it's a crazy circus situation, but Bircus for us really is kind of the popcorn machine, or that's what fuels the circus.
Yeah.
So the guy that owns the circus, you know, Feld Entertainment, they also own Walt Disney on Ice and Monster Truck Jam and Marvel Live, and they figured it out. They sell a $9 to $12 box of popcorn.
Right.
The box costs 2 cents and the popcorn costs 1 cent, and nobody's got that margin. You know, like the Sacklers, the Medellin Cartel, like nobody has. You know, Zuckerberg. Even when you click a button, it's very hard to find something that costs 3 cents that you have that kind of return. So that's kind of the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you guys have a very cool new location as well. So you are not just located in Ludlow now. You guys just recently opened with some fire breathing, I might add, your Covington location. So talk about that. And then if you will, as well, touch on your continued expansion plans.
Got it. So we are in Covington. So we've been, it's been a neat part of growing up with the Kentucky brewing scene, because when we started Bircus, there were maybe 20 breweries in all of Kentucky. Yeah. And now there's probably 60. So it's the KGB, the Kentucky Guild of Brewers, okay? With the Russian influence, right? That's everywhere. So the KGB, we've been lobbying for years. So first it started where we were able to sell our own beer at fairs and festivals, and which was cool because we would have the circus participate at Oktoberfest and Mayfest down in Covington. So we had like the circus element, and then we had a beer trailer. So first we worked with the lobbying team to move forward fairs and festivals. Then we got kegs direct to consumers, because we used to have to like sell a keg. If you wanted to buy a keg for a party, you'd have to sell it to Cork and Bottle and then buy from them. So so slowly, but then we were able to pass as small breweries in Kentucky self-distribution. So we can make beer now and sell it anywhere we want, which is in Kentucky. So that is really why we are in Covington. There's a great space. It's on the same block as Agave and Rye and Hotel Covington, right across from Braxton. I mean, that Pike Street corridor is hot.
Yeah,
so,
I'm down there for lunch all the time.
Yeah, so to have, you know, in the city of Covington has been fantastic. We just got our outdoor seating permit approved, so the weather's turning. But really what's cool is we're collaborating with another local business, North-South Baking Company, and Kate kind of grew up and out of the incubator kitchen, and she shares the space with us in the morning, and she actually owns property in Ludlow, and it is going to be her bakery, and it's just a really neat stepping stone. It's hard to go from food truck to full-blown restaurant, or incubator kitchen to standalone retail. So we've found a great collaboration there where she runs it 7 to noon, and 11:30 we come in and start making pizzas, and doing flights with her, little cookies with dessert flights. I mean, it's
that's
neat
so
to
fun.
collaborate
Yeah.
in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think one of the really interesting things, and I think touching on that, the Northern Kentucky, the idea that you're growing along with that brewing scene in the city and the area. We have like such a rich brewing history in Cincinnati. What do you think makes you guys stand out when there's so many other competitors?
It really is I think the buzzwords these days are diversity and inclusion, equity, but the circus, that's been like the heart and soul of the circus since 1790. It's the freaks, it's the weirdos, it's the bearded ladies, it's the people that are different, and that's really, we pride ourselves at the theater in Ludlow. We've hosted artists from 40 different countries to come to Ludlow, and they're circus artists, and we need this access to talent. I mean, we've got 2 people on staff that graduated from Ludlow High School. They grew up in the circus, and one's making pizzas with us, and one is performing with us. And again, you talk about workforce development or that talent pipeline. I mean, we work really closely with the Northern Kentucky Area Development District to get things going, and learning a lot of that process. But we do not have public Wi-Fi. We have no 2x4 Jenga. We have no cornhole. No ping pong. We only have like 2 or 3 IPAs on draft. So we've got 12 draft lines that we pour, and we have got some unique seltzers even. We have a Circus peanut and a cotton candy seltzer. So, staying on brand with, but that's what it comes down to. I mean, we made the cotton candy seltzer for Stacy Q, 2 of Hearts, so she, them and When in Rome, these like 80s one-hit wonders bands were like looking for a place to play. Like this was before Icon and Ovation opened. There was nowhere producing work. But at the theater, we did it. We brought these kind of one-hit wonders in with the idea of making a special seltzer for Stacy, and making this Italian beer, we called La Promessa for When in Rome. And it was really fun to be able to throw a party, make a circus, have this live element, and really have some great beer,
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about your company during the pandemic, so in addition to expanding, buying the brewing facility and self-canning, you guys have made a lot of moves when a lot of other businesses really haven't had that same opportunity due to the pandemic. Take your time.
We have to. I mean, it's crazy because just the philosophy behind growing this project and being a part of it, we shifted right away to mobile canning. And it didn't make us a lot of money, okay, because we had to bring in but we had 40 barrels of beer just sitting there. And we couldn't, you couldn't even buy growlers. There was no, so you worked hard with Ironheart Canning, which is up out of Cleveland. They brought their truck down, and all of a sudden we had tons of cans of beer. And then our Ohio distributor has since gone out of business, which, is just kind of how it goes, but our Ohio distributor really pushed it, and we were on the shelf at Jungle Gyms, and it was so neat because what could you go? You could go grocery shopping, right? That's all you could do.
That's the one thing you can't do.
That's all it's all you could do. So making that move and having the right pieces in place at the time made a lot of sense. And we have access to talent. The guy Michael that came in, we went to high school together. He's the head chef of the JW Marriott in Venice. You can only get there by boat, you know? And it's super fancy. And he's like, hey man, I made lasagna for Pavarotti. I don't want to make pizza in Ludlow. I'm like, I know, dude. All right, but we can't make lasagna in Ludlow. Pizza and beer. He's like, build the oven. If the world is closed, we'll work. So it was neat. So he even came back from Italy to help us launch in Covington, to train up our staff. And that's being really forward focused from the creativity side of things. Instead of oh no, it's the end of the world. At the end of the world, there'll be clowns and cockroaches. There won't be bankers, the orthodontists we won't, but we've been around a long time. And that's kind of what we're thinking.
Talk to me about the Wonder Fund and investing and the opportunity for people to come in and own part of Bircus. I think that's, you mentioned you're one of the first crowd-funded breweries in the country, and that's really exciting, and you have opportunity right now to invest.
Well, and if you don't have an asymmetrical circus play in your portfolio, you're really not diversified. You can have all the Bitcoin you want, the silver bullion, you could be in the Goldman Sachs money market. Anyway, so what's so neat is Marvin Abrinica, who's the founder of Wonder Fund. He is local here in Cincinnati, so it's like a fintech startup, and he's actually one of the co-owners of Esoteric Brewing over in Cincinnati. So I've known Marvin for a long time, and when it came time to figure out next steps of growth, it's all right, we have a huge customer base already. There are these people that we're our initial investors in our seed round. Let's figure out how to make it happen to the next level. And this is interesting. Back to the lawyers and listening, and so I'm selling 1/3 of my equity, so I own 2/3 of the company. But the lawyers say, you can't do that. You got to dilute everybody. But I'm like, listen, I have 150 investors. If I dilute all of them, they're not going to be happy, right? And I want to focus on what I'm good at, which is creating, a spectacle and circus and events and doing other things. Because the beer is essential to the engine, but the circus is the draw. So the more time I spend worrying about, pizza, like these pizza boxes, it took a really long time to get our branded pizza boxes in. But everything takes a long time, So just there's things we can control and there's things we can't. So I'm selling it up to 1/3 of my equity in the brewery to really put us in a position where we can have a management team that can really manage this into a brewery, where we can grow double size, triple size, do these things. That won't be, it's great when it's the end of the world, but now that we're coming out of it, it's like, all right, well, we have built this framework, we've done it for 5 years. We've blown away some of our metrics and we never hit our other metrics in our 5-year plan. So now it's really like, hey, 1, we want to bring on some new investors, but 2, we want people that want some skin in the game and want to be a part of something and really have it be a kind of a community and artistic-led initiative.
Yeah. And how can people get involved?
Bircus.com. You can go to our website, click on a link there to Wonder Fund, and it's registered with the Security and Exchange Commission. My daughter, Hope, was doing all this homework on the stock market crash in the 20s. And, I said, Hope, Google SEC, Gourmet Renee, Regulation A+, and see what you can find. So she downloads this 86-page document.
Oh, gosh.
from 2016, and it says, don't invest in this clown. He has no idea what he's doing. He's never made beer. He has no certificate of occupancy. It's like all of these different things. And it's funny. It's like, how did that work? Well, you just get a lot of great people and you show up every day and you keep working through it. And that's kind of how it happens.
Yeah, that's very cool. And we are coming up on a deadline. So please tell our podcast listeners.
March 31st. March 31st was our initial push in a deadline. I mean, everything's flexible in the circus and in the world, and things come up and go down. We have about 100 investors now, 100 additional investors, which is neat, and we've raised just over $100,000. And this is $250 gets you a fractional share, half share. $500 is 1 share, and with that you get a season pass, so you can come and see our circus matinee shows like Saturday and Sunday. We've been selling those out, so we do a family circus every Saturday and Sunday at 2. They'll get you tickets for wrestling. We do stand-up comedy. The Blue West Big Band plays there Thursdays once a month. So we've got a very rich calendar of events.
Yeah.
So $2,000 actually at this level. We've been making custom beers for people's weddings and for their companies. So that at $2,000 you get 6 cases of beer with whatever you want on the label. So it's kind of a neat gift, or a neat idea. And we've done a couple weddings down at the theater in Ludlow, and that's a neat kind of parting gift for people to leave with some cans of beer with their, the bride likes these 2 and the groom likes these 2, and it's been a neat way to put a 4-pack of beer together with their engagement photo. And for $5,000, we'll throw like a crazy party for you, and you can take the theater over and do whatever you want. And, it's fun because Bronson Arroyo, we sell out. I'll give a shout out to my friends, the Drysdales, so there's a lot of bands that have been growing with us. Doghouse is going to be there soon. Yeah. So these bands, pack the place, and they love it because there's this extra circus element of people juggling fire and aerialists hanging from the ceiling, and that's the goal, to have people take out their phone. They become the marketing tool, if you will. If we focus on creating content, like good looking pizza, good tasting beer, we get 200 people in the building, then we're juggling fire, then the fog machine's going. Everybody's got their phone out and they're tweeting it and snapping it, and that's a neat way to try and break the traditional algorithm of social media.
Yeah. What are some things that you think that people can kind of, if business owners are listening to the podcast, what's one thing that you can kind of impart to them that maybe they can take away from this, that you have, these ideas?
It's, even when you write your business plan, you're writing, what is the problem? That's the thing. And I think for us, there's always problems, when I was a clown with the circus, and there's 22 elephants in the show, all right? And they know it's either a Sunday or a Wednesday, sometimes split weeks, but they would see everybody packing up, and they know they're going to be in a train for the next, 4 hours to 2 days. So these elephants, they drop giant piles of crap. I mean, like 3-foot piles of crap, all right? And this is in the very end of the show, shot across Ariana on the human arrow, like a human cannon shoots her, and then Aerialist and the ringmaster, and there's 20,000 people in the United Center in Chicago. No one's watching any of that. They're watching the giant pile of crap. The kids are watching it, the dad, everyone's watching the big pile of crap. So the floats are walking around it, I being a clown kind of stuff, and I would like step right in the crap, and would get 10,000 people laughing on this side, and I would slowly burn to the other side of the arena, and then, my big clown shoes and shake the crap off, and that's what people wanted, Now, was it dirty and was it hard? And the show fined me a couple times because they said it was a show interruption because I literally did. But I even broke it. Like, hey, I'm a clown. This is why you hired us, right, to do that. So that's where it is. Like, give the people what they want. As that's what we try to do as a business owner. I can't say enough about the chamber. Today's Small Business Development Center Day. So like the SBDC has helped the clown out a bunch. I mean, even, getting all the visas together for the artists. Mitch McConnell's office has helped. Bob Porter, I sent an email to Massey's office saying, hey, I got a lot of Ukrainian circus friends. I don't imagine we can get them any visas right this second, But what was neat is I get an email from Bob Porter, who is, chief of staff here. He connects me with a church in Newport that has an orphanage that they've been supporting in Ukraine for years. They got the kids out. They're in Dresden, Germany right now. And I had a really good conversation with, this church that says, hey, we've been working with Children's Home in Northern Kentucky for 12 years. So like there are resources here to vet homes, to do these things. We've hosted artists from Germany, 18 to 25-year-olds with essentially like the German Peace Corps. And these are 18-year-olds that like spend 10 months working with us in Ludlow. So we have like a 3-bedroom apartment with bunk beds and shared communal space. So it's neat to have access, and it's a loaded thing to say, but as a clown, I'm gonna say, it's white privilege. I mean, it is a completely privileged space that I'm in, but to be able to connect young people in Ludlow, making jobs and having pizza, having the beer thing, but reach out through the chamber and have the globe, it's gonna be here, these refugees will be here, and it's neat to have people that are working on different platforms to find solutions with all the problems,
Yeah. It's a hard thing. You gotta really rely on communities, especially in times like this. During the pandemic, the business community, the chambers tried to help our member businesses as much as we can.
It was so great. We hosted a women's initiative down at the theater not long ago, and it's just so neat to see how many things are going on in Ludlow. Lita Ruth is this little boutique, and she's doing like a women's leadership, almost like a little mini TEDx for Ludlow, and it's so cool, and she's been around for 5 years. So we've done fashion shows together. She's right across the street, and then I was on the chamber. I saw Taste of Elm was one of the members of the week, and they're a fantastic, fancy wine and cheese joint in Ludlow. I mean, it's just neat to have all these things right on, a few blocks in Ludlow.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Ludlow, it's really interesting you bring that up. You guys have been there for a while.
12 years.
12 years. And what can you say about like the growth? I mean, you guys have seen it all at this point.
It has been so neat, I mean, and that is a neat space too with the crowdfunding, okay? Like, because I was already there doing Circus, right? So it started just doing Circus, and then we started doing events. They'd be like, man, there's a parking problem. Like, how beautiful is it that there's a parking problem,
And Paul, before I let you go, any last thoughts for our podcast guests?
Come visit us in Covington. Come visit us in Ludlow. Thank you to the Chamber. It's always been so much fun, and it's cool. I mean, I'm not by any means, I'll be getting up there 47 this year, but it was neat to move back here and to be a part of the next generation business leaders thing. And, my buddy Albert Fetters, who's our GC contractor, like he nominated me for that. It's neat because it was at the drawbridge, and there's no drawbridge anymore.
What happened at the drawbridge?
So it's I want to say, a big shout out and thanks to the Chamber, because for over, for 12 years now, it's always like, what's he doing? It's a neat another legitimizing force. So thanks for getting us on the podcast.
Well, of course. And don't forget to check out their crowdfunding opportunities if you are interested. Paul, thank you. And we will see you at your next ribbon cutting. I'm sure you'll have one soon.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I'm Shannon Schumacher, Account Executive, Kentucky Market Leader. At Haran, we champion bold innovation to help employers and individuals thrive. As an industry thought leader, we explore new horizons in healthcare, benefits, employee engagement, and wellness. We work harder to deliver all the strategic benefits, planning, and execution you expect from a true partner. And we do it with laser focus on your short and long-term outcomes to help manage your benefits while improving your employee experience.
So Heartland is celebrating its 110th anniversary this year. Recently, we partnered with the Kinkle family and the Fisher family in northern Kentucky, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties. And we have 3 offices there to serve the northern Kentucky region. Just remember, when the economy heats up, come see us at Heartland Bank, where banking really feels good.
Come on over to Heartland, where banking feels good.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Paul of Bircus Brewing Company. If you have not checked out one of their locations, go ahead and do it. I can highly recommend the beer that I had. Don't forget to check out our most recent Business Journal edition. If you did not get that delivered, be sure to check it out at nkychamber.com under Chamber Publications under the News tab. Finally, if you're a member who would like to be featured on the Northern Kentucky Spotlight podcast, or if you're interested in becoming a member of the Chamber, please reach out to Lynn Aplin. You can find her contact information on our staff directory at nkychamber.com. And once again, thank you to our sponsors, CVG, C Crew Consulting, Haran, and Heartland Bank. I'll talk to you guys next week.